I'll go through this fairly quickly. There we are. Sorry, we're in. Background. When talking about research assessment, I always start by talking about why we do it, because there are many kinds of research assessment, and obviously you need the right kind for the policy and for the environment that you are working in. As far as I'm concerned, research assessment is a tool for accountability. It shows what was done with the money that was spent. But in England, it is also, to add a fourth type to the previous slide, it's also a very important tool for allocating funding. Publicly funded research in England is mostly done in universities. We don't have major national research institutes in the way that some European countries do. There are health authority institutes and so on, but it's a slightly different structure. Right, it's funded by the government in a number of different ways. The body I work for, HEFSI, hands out money to universities. We allocate £1,500 million every year for research to universities and colleges in England, and it is a block grant. We give it to the university and we say, here it is, spend it on research, you decide how to spend it, we will come back at the research assessment exercise and we will want to see that you have spent it well, but we do not say how it should be spent. We don't fund projects, we don't fund programs, we don't prescribe courses of inquiry. We very much say to the people in the universities, you are the experts, you know what needs to be done, you go and do it. This is fundamental to understanding why the research excellence framework is designed the way that it is, which is why I'm labouring the point. At the same time, research projects and programs can be funded by the research councils, they can be funded by the National Health Service, they can be funded by research charities, which are quite big in the United Kingdom. That's a different kind of funding. There's a picture, I'll leave that out, picture of the funding sources. So, why do we do it? The government is quite clear that they fund research because it's useful. It's quite a utilitarian view, really. But that is how we get the money, and that's what we're increasingly expected to show in order that we get the money again next year. Our funding is selective. It is highly targeted on excellent research. We fund research capacity of very high quality wherever we find it. So the amount of money that I give to one university for research is determined both by how much research they are doing, but also, crucially, by how much of that research that they are doing is of the very highest quality. Because we say the institution that is doing very good research now has the capacity to do excellent research in the future, and that's how it works. We also fund the capacity to work with business and industry and communities, and that is quite important too through a parallel funding stream. So, quick overview of assessment in research funding in the United Kingdom. The project funders undertake ex ante assessment. They receive proposals and they say, is this a good proposal and is it made by good people? And health service funding is done in that way, for example. As I've said, we fund complete institutions based on ex post peer review of their previous quality and their capacity, and that's what I'm now going to talk about briefly. A quick canter through the research excellence framework. It's peer review based, expert review based, it's based on written submissions. There is no visiting. The assessment is conducted by panels of mostly experienced researchers, but also by people with experience in using the research. And the evidence set is structured the same for all of the panels, so that they all have the same basic set of material, the same basic set of data to work from, if you like. We assess all the research at the level of basically departments. We divide the entire academic field into 36 discipline panels. So the panels cover, for example, physics or chemistry or all research in foreign languages or history. It's that sort of level of disaggregation. The written submissions are made by one department to one panel, so a university might make 20 or 30 submissions, or in the big ones, 40 or 50. Sorry, in the old system. In the new system, universities might make 20 submissions, say. Sorry, I'm getting confused. We embrace a very wide definition of research. Research is a process of investigation leading to new insights. When the panels look at the activity in the submissions, they say, is this a process of investigation leading to new insights? If it is, for our purposes, it is research. Consequently, you can submit basic research, applied research, translational research. It is all within our scope. So, the submissions are basically split into 3 subsets. Each submission identifies a number of active researchers in the department. For each of the researchers, they identify 4 research outputs, which is the left-hand side. And in terms of Alessandro Liberati's 5-way typology of research, this is about advancing knowledge. This is where we look at impact through advancing knowledge, and it's done by expert review of the selected inputs. And in 2014, for the first time, some of the panels will also look at citation data, which is being provided by our friends at Elsevier, and they will use that as well. My expectation is that in the future we will make a great deal more use of citation data, because I think we have only now reached the point where the databases are of high quality, where the analysis is varied, subtle, and sophisticated, and where we are starting to command the respect of the academic community. Using citation information in the UK has been difficult because a lot of academic researchers have reservations about it. But we are working to overcome those. As I say, I think there will be more of it next time round. Impact, this is the new bit. When we talk about impact, we mean what is in the middle box. This is the economic, social, cultural, and other benefits which flow from the excellent research that has been done. In the red line, this is socioeconomic benefits, health benefits, and informing decision-making. This will be assessed by the submission of narrative statements and case studies by the departments saying what it is they've done. And finally, we look at the research environment, or if you like, the capacity building contribution of the department, which is about what sort of research outfit they are. Are they working to be sustainable in the future? Are they helping to advance the subject nationally? Are they making a big contribution to training students and future researchers? So that's the framework, and the 3 elements are weighted at the percentages across the top. Briefly, the panels look at the submissions. They award quality profiles to the submissions, which say this much of the research is of this international quality, this much of the research in the submission is of this rather lower quality. So you get quite a sophisticated view. They don't just give a single mark. And they do it by having sub-profiles for the 3 elements and sticking them together like that. So a sub-profile each for outputs, environment, and impact, added up with the weightings that I gave to make the overall quality profile at the top. And there will be one of those for each of the submissions, 1 submission, 1 department, 1 quality profile. And that's the form in which it will be published at the end, so that the publicly available output from the exercise is judgments on individual departments in that degree of sophistication. We will publish the sub-profiles as well. Therefore, it's not about assessing individual researchers at all, and it's not about assessing complete universities, because I think myself that trying to assess the quality of a complete university is a silly idea. It's too big. You have to go down and look at the subjects, and that's what we do. So, briefly, how we do it. Assessment of outputs, as I said, 4 per staff member. The core assessment criteria are originality, rigour, and significance. That's how we define quality. If a piece of work shows originality, rigour, and significance in a high degree, then it is excellent. And the expert review is done by the panels. They will read most of the outputs. They will look at the citation information that I've already mentioned. They won't read all of the outputs, but they will read quite a high proportion. Then the middle box, impact. By impact, we mean what's written up there. It's anything, really, which starts with an excellent piece of research and which results in a clear benefit to somebody beyond the academic sphere. Benefit within the academic sphere, in this model, comes under the heading of quality, because it's a measure of intellectual influence. This is about measures of all other kinds of influence, whatever they may be. And it is very broad. As far as we're concerned, impact can be any or all of those things. Why do we do it? Because we want to see what impact a whole department has had over a period. This is essentially an illustrative and sampling approach. We don't ask about the impact of every researcher. We don't ask about the impact of every piece of research. That would be impossibly detailed. We're going to look at it at the level of the department. And the other important point is that we are assessing impact, we're not measuring it. Briefly, the evidence set for the assessment of impact is case studies and underlying information. The assessment criteria are reach and significance. Does this matter? Who does it matter to? I'll just put that up. We're aware that there are many challenges in assessing impact. We're doing it for the first time. We expect to learn from the experience and do it differently next time. Finally then, the capacity, assessing the environment. This also is done on the basis of pros submitted by the institution within a standardised template looking at those headings. And the assessment criteria here are vitality and sustainability. So, some conclusions. You must have an approach tailored to what you're trying to do. It must carry the confidence of the researchers. At the moment, we think that peer review is the strongest way to do it. And finally, some more conclusions, but peer review is expensive and burdensome to run. We have to ask whether it will continue to be the method in the future. As I've said, I think we can make more use of metrics as they become more sophisticated, but you still have to be careful. And finally, as far as we're concerned, we can assess the quality and impact of research. We're not yet in the position where we can measure them with any confidence. That's a bit of whistle-stop tour, but thank you.
Thanks very much, Professor Hubbard, also for being on time.